Coming up on Techzilla, the hot new games from E3, better surround sound. We're showing you how bargain printing, infinite HDMI, Bitcoin is under attack, and TiVo mayhem. So top off your coffee and grab yourself a scone, because Techzilla starts now. This episode of Techzilla is made possible by GoToAssist, Express, Kef, and Gazelle. I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Robert Herron.
Welcome to Techzilla, hands-on reviews of the latest tech and how to make the most out of the gear you've already got.
Hey, whether you're beginner or tech support for your friends and family, if you've got a question about tech or the first mod you should make to a Cummins diesel, well, we've got an answer for you.
600 foot-pounds of torque, baby. And if we don't, we'll track down somebody who does. You are you completely over the top now about F1? Have you given up on MotoGP for the four-wheel?
Oh no. Well,
you know, the thing where Ferrari outspends everyone and wins most of the time.
They don't anymore though.
Oh,
it's all about Red Bull Racing.
Really?
And Renault. But Renault Red Bull has taken over the whole league, and things like Mercedes and Ferrari, who used to one time dominate everything, they're kind of the second-class players right now. Hate to say that, but that's just the way it's working.
Ferrari, second class. I like that. It's got a good ring to it. Class action lawsuits, remember those? The tool for consumer protection that the Supreme Court of the United States said could be shot down by a fancy lawyer for a big company dropping a couple lines into a EULA, the end user license agreement you click through when you're downloading something or trying to get a cell phone. Because, you know, we should all go into individual arbitration one by one, paying a lawyer to get back 30 bucks, even if there's 1 million or 5 million of us with the same problem. You remember that? Yeah, well, AT&T, oddly enough, helping to collect $1 billion in tax refunds it collected, says the Dayton Business Journal. And this is kind of,
holy cow.
I like reading the Dayton Business Journal. It's a fun paper. It's part of settling a suit that claims AT&T Mobility violated the Internet Tax Freedom Act. And this is kind of an interesting thought, right? Because basically AT&T says, we did what we think we were legally required to do. The lawyers say, oh, no, you shouldn't have collected this. And it's kind of, on one hand, I understand why big companies fought all the way through to the Supreme Court to end class action lawsuits, or at least class action lawsuits that weren't prevented by them putting a couple of lines in the end user license agreement.
So they're actually doing some of the work to get the money back for their customers?
Well, basically they settled. They basically, AT&T's like, we did what we believed was the correct thing to do under the law, and we don't want to freaking fight this through the courts for them to, basically they decided it was easier for them to set up a division to basically help people get their tax money back from the agency that collected it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Even though I kind of understand why they probably did it. So.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting to see whether or not class action lawsuits are basically effectively going to disappear with a couple of lines in user agreements.
That might be interesting. Well, hey, in other news, Digitimes says that Microsoft might be building its own branded tablet. Basically think Xbox and Kinect, not Zune. Personally, I would like them to really build their own notebook, complete with a clean Windows install and include the Windows disk, and I would be all over that in a heartbeat. But, you know, a tablet, it would be nice to see them have their own branded hardware at some point that's, well, beyond the Xbox, just like the article points out. So.
Yeah. In other tablet news, iSupply says Apple is now the world's largest buyer of semiconductors. The $17.5 billion Apple spent on chips in 2010, up from $9.7 billion in 2009. That's a lot of cash, people. Vaulted ahead of both HP and Samsung. Think about that, dude. Apple now buys more chips than HP or Samsung. $17.5 billion.
Who are they buying the chips from?
Everyone
Samsung.
at this point. Yeah, well, you know, it's kind of like you look
TSMC.
at the iSupply top 10 OEM semiconductor buyers in 2010 to 2011. Apple, HP, Samsung, Dell, Nokia, Sony, Cisco Systems, Panasonic, LG Electronics, and Toshiba. That's the top 10. By the way, Apple, it looks like they are going to take out the last of the orchards in Silicon Valley. This is a great TechCrunch article, right? Steve does the WWC presentation. Here's all the exciting new stuff. Then goes in front of the Cupertino City Council. It says Apple is looking to build a giant circular, yeah, the spaceship has landed circular building, like 4 sections or 4 stories high, big round pentagon.
A new mothership.
It's like a pentagon, but round. The current main, well, smaller than the pentagon.
A donut.
They've got like 100 acres they bought from HP. It's got
silicon donut.
Apricots on it. The current, check this out, right? They want to house 12,000 employees. The current, the main, the legendary One Infinite Loop campus only holds 2,800 employees. Apple's currently renting offices for another 6,700 employees all around the Silicon Valley.
Long overdue.
And apparently they want everybody in one place and lots of room for expansion because Apple is making money hands over fist.
You need you need space to work. And that sounds like they have it, or they're getting it. So.
Good news for commuters. You should do this
I love
one.
this. Google is adding live transit updates to Google Maps. Yes, Google's promising to tell you when your ride's actually going to arrive, at least now, if you're living in Boston, Portland, Oregon, San Diego, San Francisco, Madrid, and Turin. So some people will be getting this update. At least at the bus stops they have here and the train stops they have here in San Francisco, they actually do provide little tickers now to tell you when the train is coming. But this would be nice if we could actually look that up online, which you may actually be able to do through the city here as well. But if it could be integrated in my Google Maps that I'm already using for traffic information, all the better.
All you got to think about this, instead of like loading a website, you just click on Google Maps. If it's accurate, I'm excited.
My location data says, hey, that bus will be there in 5 minutes. And it's like, yay. Then I don't have to go stand out there, say, for 20 minutes in the rain. I can just like go out there quickly, right when it's about to arrive. Efficiency.
Oh my goodness. Speaking of efficiency, the open source untraceable, and, oh yeah, digital currency known as Bitcoin has hit the big time. A couple of US senators who apparently don't feel that solving the budget thing is priority #1 have discovered that Bitcoin can be used to buy illicit substances. And they're making the kind of big noises that only senators avoiding doing legitimate work can do. That said, I got to say, there's a really interesting article up on Wired. Threat Level is an amazing piece of writing. Threat Level is just a great blog, I should say. If your kids are running Tor and spending a lot of time on a website called Silk Road, it's time to intercept their mail because they're probably having illicit substances shipped to your house or to a friend's house.
Small businesses.
Just saying.
Take note.
It's you know, I'm just saying.
I'm trying to get some Bitcoins.
It's really it's kind of crazy, right? You know, because
I think it's awesome. Well, maybe not the whole drug trafficking thing, but just the concept of doing that with a currency that's distributed in a sense and a website that's anonymized.
Well, it's kind of interesting, like the idea that Bitcoin is not tied to an individual government. But Silk Road's kind of, and it's kind of like, actually it was Adrian Chen over at Gawker, I guess, wrote the original post on the underground website, lets you buy any drug imaginable. And it's kind of a crazy concept because you get this gibberish URL and you actually need to be running Tor, which is the anonymizing software, to actually access the website where you can buy the naughty stuff and then have it mailed to your house.
Nobody knows. Hey, I think it's time for a printer question.
Hey, I got
Brian writes in, Patrick and Robert, my wife insists on getting a printer I currently print stuff for at work, which she says is not convenient. She recently became a coupon hoarder, so she will mostly want to print black and white, but occasionally color. I'm not sure which model has the best bang for the buck. I want cheap, reliable ink cartridges that will be around for a year or two so that I won't need a new printer due to unavailable cartridges. Oh, and wireless too. Any suggestions? Thanks for the show. It's great. Oh, and it's great hosts too. Great hosts too. Signed, Brian.
Obviously, we're having our talent day today. First thought, you would be shocked at how long various printer manufacturers make ink cartridges available for printers you haven't seen in years. It's just finding them in your local store that's a pain. I gotta say, I keep a spare set for my inkjet printer in the house. When I crack those open, or before, if there's like a giant photo book project or something, I order a spare set or two. Also because inkjet cartridges tend to be vastly cheaper online. The problem is finding them in your local store. You know, because there's nothing worse than like driving an hour to the nearest big box store and having them be like, we don't have them Epson L4 2777s in stock.
Where mail order can be handy.
Mail order is amazing. There's also ink cartridge refilling as an oh-so-cheap option for inkjets, and we could spend several shows doing nothing but ink cartridge refilling. Speaking of cheap, I'm tempted telling you to just skip color altogether, go with an inexpensive monochrome personal laser like this one that you're looking at right here, and I wonder if I can get the web page up for that. This is actually what I found on PC Mag. I've been reading and working with M. David Stone for PCMag.com literally for years. Editor's choice, $125 for the Brother HL2270DW, $126 on Amazon, built-in wireless networking, it prints fast, it does duplexing, the text looks really good even down to the small font sizes. Wireless printing remains painful.
Oh, not always.
I have never had a pleasant wireless printing. Once I got the wireless printing set up,
I bought a new
fantastic.
printer, an all-in-one, and its Wi-Fi setup is actually pretty sweet, I have to admit. I just, what I do recommend is whatever disk comes with the printer, unless you're just insane, throw that disk away, go to the website and download whatever they call the IT professional package, the smallest driver set that you can find for it, and just install that, and it eliminates a lot of the crapware that you really probably won't ever need or want. Wow, this thing puts out a nice breeze of ionized something.
Well, it's lasering, but it's like
toner.
it's fast. It's like it's.
Oh, that's zippy.
Here.
That's the one thing. But you're sacrificing color unless you spend some more money for a laser, though, right?
Actually, it's kind of funny. There are sub $200 laser
Beautiful.
printers. I gotta say, in my experience, laser toner holds up over time. If you're going to use it occasionally, the toner, the little powder inside of laser printers, holds up better than inkjets.
Totally.
I've actually got an Epson all-in-one printer scanner to do the pretty stuff at home that runs on inkjets. And if you'd rather roll with an inkjet, Kodak's ESP-C 310 all-in-one. It's $80 on Amazon. Another Editor's Choice winner up on there. The per-page costs are super cheap. It scans too. And hey, it just got an Editor's Choice from PCMagazine.com.
Cool. That's a great price.
It sells for like $85. You know what I mean? That's about it. Like if I pull it up on, yeah, let's see, Kodak ESP, $79 on Amazon. So that is super cheap. Or quite frankly, just go to your local big box store, Amazon.com, and buy the cheapest Brother or HP or Canon inkjet you can find. Brother and HP and Canon, they do a pretty good job. HP will make drivers for things forever. Brother has awesome reputation for customer service. Canon's, by the way, Pixma MX882 wireless inkjet office all-in-one, so it's a scanner, it's a printer, is selling for, I think, a whopping $132, and that's a really good looking printer. That was another Editor's Choice winner on there.
Tall.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's nice to have, I find it useful to have a printer around. You're printing boarding passes.
I went for years without having one. I
documents.
finally broke down. And the scanner part actually turned out to be, I use that more than I do the printer. So it was nice to get the all-in-one. And, what can you do with a scanner? Well, receipts, number one. Scanning all my documents and just getting rid of more paper seems to be my goal, and it works out pretty well. And like you said, I was at, not necessarily a big box store, but I was at my local Costco, and they had a good wireless all-in-one printer on sale. And they had a rack of all the ink cartridges you could possibly want. And it's a common brand name, so I'll be able to find that online if I need to. So
Yay.
all my concerns are covered. However, I like your comment, though, about toner compared to ink cartridges. And for longevity, in terms of longevity, I find that toner will last a lot longer than the ink cartridges.
Yeah.
do.
I inherited an 8-year-old laser printer from a friend of mine. I used 2 laser cartridges in it over the next 10 years. And basically finally ran out the one it came with from my friend, and then it was still running when I passed it on to someone else like 9 years later. And let's take a moment to thank one of our sponsors, Go to Assist Express. If you provide technical support to clients, colleagues, friends, or family, have you found an easy, cost-effective way without being there in person? The best way to provide tech support is to do it online with Go to Assist Express. It lets you view and control another computer online so you can quickly resolve technical issues. You can help friends learn how to use new software and fix family computer problems without being there in person. Because you're a TechZilla viewer, we got a great deal for you. You can try Go to Assist Express free for 30 days. For this special offer, visit gotoassist.com/TechZilla. That's gotoassist.com/TechZilla for a free trial. We want to thank Go to Assist for their sponsorship. Patrick, that is not me, from Salt Lake City, writes in, "Hey TechZilla, in episode 223, Robert talks about those older HD receivers with limited HDMI. HDMI, that's how we say that, right?
Yes. High definition multimedia interface.
Older HD receivers with limited HDMI inputs. Is there one with infinite inputs that you're not telling us about?" Well, Patrick from Salt Lake City, I'm going to ask Robert Heron now. When are you going to tell us about these infinite HDMI input receivers?
Infinite!
You've been keeping secrets, Heron.
The word limited was perhaps poorly chosen on my part. I will admit that. What am I going to say? There are no infinite HDMI. However, you could daisy chain a bunch of either extenders or repeaters or switches.
Have you seen more than 4 HDMI inputs on a receiver yet?
On a receiver, I want to say there's one with 5. I have the DVDO Edge that has 6.
Okay.
But an AV receiver.
6 is a lot.
You would think one of the $2,500 or uber expensive premium AV receivers probably packs them in there. I would be surprised if it didn't, but I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. Now I've got something to look up tonight. So there's that. What are you holding?
Well, this is a fantastic, well, actually, it's a speaker on a stick. Today's episode is sponsored by CAF, audiophile speakers since 1961. Oh. This is one of their T301 speakers, 35 millimeters thin. That's like less than 1.5 inches, 1.4 inches. Simple, understated design. I was shocked, actually. CAF's the sponsor of the episode. They sent me some speakers to try out in my home. I'm a big, massive magnets in my speakers kind of guy, and these, frankly, did I mention 35 millimeters? we're listening to Nico Case, Ray Charles, super clean, super crisp. 2 4-inch subwoofers and a 1-inch tweeter inside of this, and punchy, really nice low-end punch. They come with a subwoofer, KEF's T2, which has basically been engineered to work with the whole T series. It's a very small box for a self-powered 10-inch sub, 15 by 14.6 by 7 inches, 30 to 250 hertz, which is not bad for a 10-inch subwoofer in a sealed box design. So it doesn't have that hooty sound like ported subs get. And like I was saying, the speaker I was just holding up, the T301, contains a pair of 4-inch mids and a 1-inch tweeter. The T101s, which are a little bit shorter, have a single 4-inch mid and tweeter. And they come with wall mounts, which I think I have one of them right about here.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's interesting,
well,
right?
A thin
because
speaker gets a thin mount.
It does get a super thin mount. You basically screw this into the wall, and then the speaker hangs off of it. And what's nice about that is what our buddy Lloyd Case used to call the spousal acceptance factor, and you can hang it just like that. All I got to do is figure out where to hide the cords.
In the wall.
Yeah, I got to say.
Does it come with the stand itself too?
The stand is optional. It's extra, and I got to say, it's probably worth the money if you're into sophisticated design, because they've got decent, I don't know if you can see the actual posts. The wire runs inside, and then they screw into the mounts. There's basically 2 tabs that go into the wire mounts on the speaker. So it gives you one nice solid unit, runs the wires down to the floor.
Clean.
Yeah, it's pretty understated. I've seen some shockingly garish home theater speakers over the last couple of years, so it's nice to see something that kind of blends in.
Was this particular kit a 5.1 setup, or was it just 2.1?
5.1.
Nice.
Yeah.
With basically 4 of those, plus
4 of those, plus the center channel, plus the T2 subwoofer.
Nice.
Yes.
I think you're going to be a happy camper for a little while.
I am an extremely happy camper.
Until they pry it out of your fingers.
Don't take the speakers.
No.
They sound really good. Actually, they really do amazing things with, because a lot of home theater speakers aren't so good at music. And especially, so like I was listening to Ray Charles, What I Say, it's like classic rhythm and blues.
Critical listening.
Fantastic. And actually, they held up pretty well rolling Rage Against the Machine, which is a big plus.
Well, hey, if Patrick has you drooling, good news. KEF is giving away a set of T-Series speakers every month for the rest of the summer. Just follow @KEF_direct on Twitter, and you're entered to win. It's seriously that easy. Along with making Patrick's ears all happy, KEF is sponsoring a series of surround sound segments this summer, so we thought we'd start with the basics, speaker placement. Which brings us to this question from Rich. Hi, Robert. When we built our house, I fought an epic battle with my wife and the interior designer to build a beautiful home theater. You would have been proud. But alas, I lost the battle. Now, 5 years later, I'm stuck trying to shoehorn a home theater into a room with the TV in the corner, i.e. off center. I can place all the speakers in a nice 5:1 layout, but the TV would be some 8 to 10 feet to the right of the center out of the front soundstage. Is this workable? I seem to recall you saying that it was important to have the center channel speaker voices in the same vertical plane with the TV. I can do this, but it will leave the center channel to the right of the front speaker. Am I wasting my time trying to make this work? Well, taking a look at that room, I don't think so.
No.
Speakers,
Not at all, actually.
no. For speakers, basically they're in their intended location for front speakers. We're not sure where to place that center speaker, either under or above, say, a fireplace, but
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because you look at that picture, and he went like, okay, there's a fireplace. The fireplace is the center of the room. I got left channel, I got right channel, and then the television is over here. What you need to do is take the right channel and put it to the right of the flat panel.
totally.
Put the center channel underneath the flat panel. I mean, in some rooms, there's only so much you can do, especially if you're going off center.
You have
right?
to, if the display is going to be the center point for the front plane anyway, so you have to have those speakers. They don't have to be equally apart either. You can always play with timings to tweak that, but the speakers have to be, oh, there we go.
Yeah, the one that's not flexible is the center channel needs to be underneath. You know, it's kind of funny. You need the center channel. That was pretty scary. Sorry about that. The center channel needs to be underneath or above the television
itself.
That one's 0 degrees, right?
Yeah.
If you're looking at the somewhere on
If
my
it can
computer,
set on the
I
top
have
edge of the TV, perfect. Or if it has to, if maybe the TV's not thick enough to do that, put it underneath if you can. But centered to that, that's the one channel I would say keep centered. The other 2 speakers for the front setup, they could be pretty much, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of where you want to place them. And then you can use the setup with the AVR itself to tweak, say, timing and, what else would you do? Timing and levels.
let's pull with a modern AV receiver. You can adjust it.
Oh.
Check, I don't know if we can pull the screen up, but if you look at this is the classic Dolby home theater speaker placement and setup guide, right? Basically, they have an equalization. They have a guide that's actually on there, and what it does is it tells you exactly in the perfect room in the perfect world, right? Your two center speakers are at 30, or your center speaker is at 0 degrees in front of the sweet spot, what you like to call the money seat.
Yeah.
The left and right channels are at 30 degrees, and the speaker is turned at 30 degrees towards that spot. So
Totally.
30 degrees, center, 30 degrees. And what you're doing on that, the subwoofer somewhere near the front, and then 90 to 110 degrees to your right and left is going to be the placement for the subs, and they're all going to be equidistant, right? Your left and right are equidistant. So let's, you know, you think about that most rooms, and this is like a classic example of a room that doesn't work with that. That's where a modern AV receiver comes in, and especially one with Odyssey Multi-EQ. You've heard us talk about Multi-EQ. That noise you're hearing right now is an acoustical test pattern that is running through my speakers at home. You put a microphone in the money seat, and then it blasts this really weird sound. And then, quote, it evaluates everything that causes distortion, frequency response variations, and reflections that arrive at different times. So what it does is it punches these known quantities, these audio signals over all the channels in the home theater system, your 5.1, your 7.1, and it starts doing math. And then it compensates for distance like Rich is dealing with, or weird room shapes like I'm dealing with. And it'll change the time, the left channel, the right channel, the rear, the surrounds channels. Basically, it'll change the time the channel hits the transducer, the speaker, and the results can be actually shocking. It can make a huge difference if you have a really funky room.
With older receivers that didn't have this kind of technology, you basically take a measuring tape and then measure out the distance on each speaker from the listening position, and that would give you, and you can essentially, the older receivers would allow you to enter that distance information, and that would then provide the timing delay for making all the sounds reach you at the same point, or at the same time.
Right.
So that you're not having because if you have the speaker put further away than another speaker, then the sounds would reach you at a different point. You have to compensate for that, otherwise you're not getting an immersive audio experience. It's going to sound odd, and
but sound is traveling at like 700 miles per hour, and it's only like 3 feet different. Well, you'd be surprised.
Milliseconds.
You know, and the other thing that's actually surprising is Odyssey Multi-EQ. I hate audio processing. I'm the guy that beats people with a stick if they're like, look, I hit a button in my home theater, now it sounds like the Carnegie Hall. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It sounds like weird audio processing. The Multi-EQ actually sounds really good.
Yeah, because that's the difference between a processing mode versus something that helps you with the setup of your hardware. And if you don't know what you're doing, this is a great way just to get all the basics taken care of right. And these systems like Odyssey EQ are getting better and better with every generation. So take advantage of it while you can.
Cheaper. Denon's, like, I picked up a Denon receiver with Multi-EQ built into it for $350. I think it steps up to like $450 or $500 if you want a 7.1 system, but I failed to see the purpose of a 7.1 system at this stage.
Some of the more advanced setups will allow you to move the speaker or the microphone to different positions within the room to do multiple readings, and then it averages all those, or basically it'll widen the sweet spot. So say if you have 3 seats on the couch and you'd like to optimize for all 3, you could do like 3 positions on the couch and then maybe the 3 in front of that, and then boop, magically it all comes together.
And I suspect there's a spousal acceptance factor issue involved in putting the HD TV above the fireplace. We should actually have, we should finally go up to Jay Adelson's house to talk about mounting a HD TV above a fireplace and why you probably want to avoid that.
It can work if you sit far enough away, but I tend to avoid that if all possible.
Or if you have an attic space above or a closet above, you can do one of those really cool HDTV mounts that drops from the ceiling.
Yes.
I have dreams.
It's now time for the new Blu-ray releases for the week of June 14th, 2011. First up, Battle Los Angeles. This 2011 film follows a platoon of Marines who have to defend LA from an alien invasion. This release is available as both a single Blu-ray release or a combo with the DVD version. The standalone release includes a playable demo of the upcoming game Resistance 3, while the combo pack does not. It features an MPEG-4 AVC codec with a 240:1 aspect ratio and a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 soundtrack. Blu-ray.com notes that it is very simple but highly effective in naturally filmic transfer with excellent detail and strong black levels. Extras include a picture-in-picture feature that lets you view storyboards as the film plays, as well as 8 different behind-the-scenes featurettes that total 80 minutes. Next up, Rubber. This film follows a sentient homicidal tire who, well, that's all I really need to say about that. It's a 2010 film directed by Quentin Depew, and although it's an English film, you'll get why the tire is named Robert when you say it with the French accent. This release comes on a single 25GB disc with an MPEG-4 AVC codec, a 1.78:1 aspect ratio, and a DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 soundtrack. This film was shot entirely on a Canon 5D Mark II, and despite a few shortcomings, Blu-ray.com gives the video quality a 4 out of 5, calling it stunning and impressive. Extras include an 8-minute interview with the director, 3 additional interviews with 3 of the main actors, and a very short camera test with the tire. Also released this week, Boondock Saints Truth and Justice Edition. This film was released on Blu-ray in 2009, and our favorite Blu-ray review sites give it 3 to 4 stars out of 5, although the only extras were 2 commentary tracks, outtakes, deleted scenes, and the script. This new release includes all of the above, plus a digital copy and a new featurette titled The Boondock Saints, The Film and the Phenomena. A quote, all new and never before seen bonus feature that pulls you even deeper into the gritty, action-packed Boondocks world, unquote. The specs are the same as the previous release, and while the packaging labels it as a 10th anniversary, the film actually came out in 1999, so I'll leave it up to you to make the math work out on that one. Hey, and as always, check out our show notes at techzilla.com or hdnation.tv for the rest of this week's Blu-ray releases. Hey, it's time to thank one of today's sponsors, KEF. KEF has been designing and engineering high-end innovative loudspeakers in the UK since 1961, and have now pushed the envelope even further, making it a truly thin loudspeaker. We're talking only 1.4 inches thin. The new T-Series from KEF look incredible and sound even better. And KEF is giving away a set of their T-Series speakers every month for the rest of the summer. Want them? All you have to do is follow them on Twitter and you are entered to win. Seriously, it is that easy. Follow them now at @KEF_direct and be automatically entered to win a T105 full 5.1 home theater system. The speakers have a retail cost of around $1,500. If you're on Twitter, and you probably want to go ahead and start following them right now.
Done.
Hey, again, that's KEF, @KEF_direct, and thank you to KEF and the new T-Series Slim speakers, Sirius Surround. Although the Electronic Entertainment Expo, aka E3, is happening down in LA this week, we are sadly not there. But thankfully for us, Destructoid is, and they were kind enough to send this report with the new highlights from this year's show.
Hey guys, Max and Tara from Destructoid here, and we are at E3 right now in Los Angeles, and it's the big thing, the big video game thing.
Day 1 of E3 coverage. We got a lot of press conferences in yesterday from Microsoft, EA, Ubisoft, and Sony, but the big news of today was Nintendo's press conference where they debuted their new console, the Wii U, which was previously codenamed Project Cafe. So, what were your thoughts on the presentation there?
It kind of came out of nowhere. A lot of stuff I was not sure what to make of it. I'm not sure if it's a handheld or a console. They show off the controller, which is it's a 6-inch screen on a tablet, and there's
front and rear facing cameras.
Yeah, it's like it looks like an iPad crossed with a Wii, sort of. It's very, very strange. I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, well, they showed off some demos of people using it, and basically you can hold it up in front of your screen and interact with your TV screen using the controller, and you can also disconnect the controller from the console, so you can play an entirely different game on the controller, so it kind of becomes a standalone handheld on its own. And then also play something else on the console.
Yeah, so if mom wants to watch Ellen, the kid can sit on the couch and still play Connectimals or whatever. That's not even a Nintendo game. But yeah, they showed off also a lot of the HD games. Finally, Nintendo has made an HD system, and they're showing off the graphical capabilities of it. A lot of core games, like a lot of grown-up, M-rated big kid games.
Yeah, they're really trying to kind of recapture the hardcore audience with this one. We already know that there's going to be a Ninja Gaiden game, as well as Assassin's Creed. They've got Batman Arkham City coming. The actual console is not coming out until 2012, but we do know that a bunch of these titles are already in the works. We haven't seen any gameplay footage from them yet.
Yeah, no Nintendo titles themselves.
No.
On top of that, there was also Sony's big press conference. That was another one people were looking forward to. Jack Tretton started it off in light of the big PSN getting hacked debacle. Jack Tretton decided to say, "You're welcome, journalists," in regards to the controversy that generated and all the coverage we got out of it. So
good start.
Yeah.
Good start.
But then they showed off the PS Vita, which is the new PSP, and it looks pretty incredible. It's I played it. It's very light. It's got a touchscreen on the front, touchscreen on the back, beautiful OLED screen. Twin joysticks. It looks like a very powerful handheld. And
yeah, they had 5 games shown off here. probably the most anticipated, which is the Uncharted Golden Abyss, which a lot of people are excited about. It looks amazing on the screen.
Everything looks like an Uncharted
Everything
game.
is completely clear and pristine. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And the front and back touchscreens are really kind of intuitive.
And they're also really trying to push multiplayer on this. It's going to have 3G with AT&T. Not so hot about that, but that version's going to be $300, and there's going to be one that's just Wi-Fi, and that's going to be $250. The release date that's
Holiday 2011.
Holiday.
So
I know
this
what I want for Christmas.
Yesterday was also the Microsoft press conference. They didn't have a whole lot of new stuff to show us, but they did have some new Kinect games.
They taught the Kinect some new tricks. Kinect has voice recognition now. They're really pushing that. In addition to the standard games where you dance around with animals and stuff, they've got Bing now as a search engine built into Xbox Live, so you can say Xbox Bing and then whatever you're searching for, and it can be on Netflix, on the web, whatever. It seems like they're really pushing that and making the Xbox much more of an entertainment system appliance kind of thing than strictly a video game system. So that's really cool.
Big game of the day for you was Skyrim, right?
Elder Scrolls V Skyrim is huge. That was really cool to see. There's EA also showed off Battlefield 3, which is an incredible looking game, beautiful.
Yeah.
And a lot of other stuff. If you want to hear more about it, check out our Destructoid show on Revision 3 or youtube.com/Detoid.
Back to you.
Thank you, Max and Tara. Wish I were there.
Shiny. One for the toys. Hey, speaking of toys, it's time now to thank one of our sponsors. Gazelle. People, it's a great way to turn your old electronics into cash for new toys or anything you want. They accept more than 300,000 products from over 20 different electronics categories. Shipping is free on all items of value, and in most cases, they'll even send you a box to ship with. Also, for the green folks out there, Gazelle makes all their recycling partners adhere to some strict policies. No exports, no landfills, and tons of data security standards. Gazelle is a great way to get cash to upgrade to the latest iPhone or Android phone. Check it out now at Gazelle.com. And we want to thank Gazelle for sponsoring TechZilla. We got a follow-up to Robert's DVR reco for John in Fremont last week.
Dun, 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 dun. John wondered if HD TiVo would eliminate the need for what I believe I referred to as a digital tuning adapter that I mistakenly claimed converts digital cable channels into analog signals. I should have said digital transport adapter. Digital transport adapter. My bad, either way. An HD TiVo would eliminate the need for a transport adapter, and several of our sharp-eyed and eared viewers wrote in to clarify that a new HD TiVo, like the Premiere, would not eliminate the need for a tuning adapter that is required for use with cable providers using switched digital video. Dun, 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 dun. I really want to thank Billy, Ryan, Tim, Ann, and Dave for catching my flub. That was
Thank you.
I can't believe it. I also want to thank TechZilla viewers Todd and Vince for the gentle reminder that the TiVo Premiere XL is the only one that features THX certification and the related calibration videos that are included on the hard drive. The regular Premiere, alas, lacks both.
Bummer.
Anything else I screwed up? That was good. A couple of good ones, but the pain, I'm glad I got a few. Actually, that first flub with the TiVo, I'm kind of glad because I had a lot of people who are using the switch digital video adapters with their TiVos, and for the most part they seem to work, although nobody really likes them. And there was a proposal.
It'll fix it. You
there
won't
was
like
a proposal to do that over an IP connection, so you could just connect your internet, which the TiVo's already a net-connected device, and eliminate the need for that box. But apparently that never got any traction, unless we just start rioting in the streets. But
let's not do that.
No.
Not over TiVos. Not to take anything away from the TiVo love in the world. Hey, we also took a question from Bill who was trying to get rid of a bluish tinge to his new monitor. We gave a few tips, but Todd had another idea and writes, Robert and Patrick brought up a lot of good points, but isn't it possible there is an inherent problem with the display you just purchased? I'm an owner of a 2011 MacBook Pro, and I have to say that I'm a little disappointed with the color reproduction on this MacBook Pro with its LED backlit, high-res, anti-glare display. After researching the internet, after researching on the interwebs,
I love the interwebs.
Can you imagine that I'm really an English major? I found that I am not the only one disappointed with the display on the 2011 MacBook Pro. I also found evidence that there are inherent problems with a lot of TN-type displays where the gamma curve is dependent on the viewing angle. Uh-oh. There's an image posted here that it helps you tell if your display exhibits this issue. I wonder if the Samsung display that Bill wrote about also suffers from these issues. Todd. And it's funny, twisted pneumatic displays, the picture we were looking at, the picture displayed on a twisted pneumatic or TN-LCD panel is often influenced by off-axis viewing. So kind of like the sweet spot for your surround sound system. It's something I didn't mention with multi-EQ. You can use the mics in different spots to make the surround sound larger. You cannot make the sweet spot. There is no way to make the off-axis viewing better on a flat panel. So it's kind of an interesting thought that like you're a few degrees off too far
totally.
in the wrong direction.
I have an LED screen on my notebook that's or an LED backlit LCD screen, and it is so dependent on, if you want a good picture out of it, there's one angle for that, and you have to get your head straight, angle it just right, and have it almost, I guess, your vision perpendicular to that screen. And even a slight off-axis will just screw up either light or dark detail. In a sense, changing the gamma is one way to put it. That means like the picture looks washed out or the dark details are too dark.
Right.
Now, John's description of the issues he was experiencing seemed to indicate that the issue was with the display's white balance. And it's basically looking too cool, a little too blue or purplish, I think he described it before he calibrated it. But apparently it was a bit too reddish after calibration. Now, every computer monitor that I've ever looked at benefited from having a custom-generated ICC profile. Sometimes it's kind of subtle, and other times it's quite dramatic. If the discoloration affected only a portion of the display and it's not related to viewing angle, then it very well may be a defective panel that should be swapped out. But in John's case, I want to say that I really was encouraging him just to maybe redo the ICC profile, make sure you've reset everything ahead of time, and then give yourself a while to get used to that reddish color temperature.
Right.
And it also is dependent too on room lighting, but sometimes it just takes like a week of viewing before your eyes become accustomed to a different white point, so to speak, or a different shade of gray.
Give yourself some time.
Yeah, let your eyes soak it in.
Talking about SACD audio, Todd has a tip on finding HD audio. He adds, there's another way to acquire HD audio tracks and play them back on your computer, hdtracks.com. We've talked about this. HD Tracks offers high resolution tracks for download in various different lossless formats encoded at various high bit rates, 176 kilohertz 24-bit, 96K 24-bit, and 88K 24-bit. Not for everything they have, I should point out. Good information, Todd. But not everything's offered. Last I was up there a few weeks ago, not everything was in 96K. Some people will say you can't hear the difference on 96K, but if you are an audio nerd and you're fascinated by digital audio, I definitely suggest checking out that website.
You know what I'm checking out when I get home?
Good stuff. Just be careful, because you know they got a lot of really good Johnny Cash on there, and all of a sudden I have my 4th copy of the original Johnny Cash collection from Sun Records. If you have a suggestion for sources of high quality music, getting your digital on, and there's nothing wrong with 180-gram artist reproductive pressings of vinyl classics, but we're talking digital here. Tekzilla at revision3.com. And I should also point out, speaking of digital, remember the Google Maps problem where I was trying to go to the pick and pull in Richmond and it was trying to send me into a development that was gated and full of ticked off people?
Oh, yes.
So just hours ago, I actually got the Google Maps problem report, the ID number. Google Maps has been updated to correct the problem you reported. You can see the update here, and if you still see a problem, please tell us more about the issue. Thanks for your help, the Google Maps team.
The day you talked to me about that, or we talked about that on the show actually, and I went ahead and there was a club I participate with, and they had the address as to like more out on the street where the little marker was, and I just moved it to like right where our front door is practically, and it took like a week. But they finally went back and said, you know what, we agree with that. We'll let that one go. And it's like, boom, and I updated all the other information for it too. And it's like, cool. Helping the hive mind or something. I'm really not sure which, but it was information I was like, oh, I'd rather people make sure they get...
Correcting directions helps us all.
I love it.
What if it was directions to a hospital and they were wrong? Wouldn't you want them corrected? Correct them. Correct the
like
Google
that.
Maps people and any other maps you use.
And thank you for your traffic updates. Every day I'm looking at those. Thank you, Google.
And thank you for your tech questions, people. You, the audience, help us make the show. We want your tech questions, whether it's about burning tech, smoke-filled tech, like we talked about just in the last episode, or just a very urgent question, or a not-so-urgent question, or something you're curious about, or a trend. What is this Bitcoin anyway? Tekzilla at revision3.com is the email address, or you can post it on our Facebook page. That is facebook.com/Tekzilla.
Hey, and of course, we're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TechHD, TEKHD, and Twitter at Tekzilla, at Robert Heron, at Patrick Norton, at Veronica. And thank you so much for watching.
I'm Patrick Norton.
And I'm Robert Heron.
Till next time, you've been watching Tekzilla. Link to view and/or the open.